All right, what is up, you guys? Sage here, and this is Builders Sundays. So, Builders Sundays is a prelude to the up and coming Builders Lab, and so that's something that has to do with Legacy Africa. Legacy Africa is focused on entrepreneurs and getting an entrepreneur from zero to the first thousand, the first thousand to the first 10K, first 10K to the first 100K. If you're doing 100K and beyond, this is not for you. Um, so, we're going to be talking about very basic, elementary things here in Builder Sundays. And this is for people who maybe can't afford to hop onto the Legacy Africa team and be a part of that journey and start growing your business. If you're someone who is looking more towards starting the thing, getting the initial foundations in place so that you can put yourself in a position to work within the Builders Lab, be connected to at least my personal network so that we can give a little bit of vision, structure, and clarity to what you got going on, lay some railing down so that you can fly, then that's completely awesome. This is the space for you. And if you want to go from that Builders Lab to the Legacy Africa Network, Legacy Africa Network is completely free, by the way, with the purchase of a t-shirt. That's the place that we're ultimately trying to build, is a space for entrepreneurs to mingle with other entrepreneurs that are trying to change the shape of Africa. They're trying to change the future of Africa. I'm trying to get these movers, these groundbreakers, these innovators. I'm trying to create a space for them to intermingle with each other and make something incredible. Completely free to be a part of the Legacy Africa Network, but it may take some work for you to get in there and be able to stay in there. And so that's why I'm creating pathways like this to try and make it just a little bit easier. You know, I owe a lot of what I'm able to do, the positions that I'm in, to people who shared information for free. A lot of where I am is because of people who shared information for free. And a lot of where I am is because I went out and I actually bought the books of these people. I bought what they had to give that was more condensed, more structured, and like I said, it allowed me to improve very, very rapidly and shoot past a lot of people that are still further than me in terms of formal education. But the informal education sector, which is videos like this made by people that were further than I was at that time and are much, much further than I am right now. But I've also come a little bit of a way, and I know a little bit about a few things. While they're still fresh in my mind, I want to crystallize them by putting them in content like this. Now, I have touched on these topics before in my channel, but I was very, very young back then. And I've now walked the walk, so I can speak to them with a little bit more seasoning. So here's a timestamp for you. If you just clicked on, let's actually get into it. First and foremost, if you are the guy that's going from zero, trying to make your first thousand, if you're guy going from 1,000, trying to make your first 10, 10 trying to go to 100, one of the first things you're going to have to refine is your offer. You're going to have to refine the offer itself, right? And there are actually multiple types of offers, first and foremost. So you're going to have your core offer, you're going to have an upsell, you're going to have a downsell, you may have cross sells. I actually want to get into, okay, here it is. I wonder if I actually wrote down the names. I don't think I did. So, in any case, you're going to have your core offer. You're going to want to have an upsell. You're going to want to have a downsell. And you're going to want to have an attraction offer. You know, those are, I think, four different types of offer. It's your attraction offer, your core offer, your upsell, your downsell. Okay. Wow. What in the world am I talking about? And why do you need so many things to get one thing accomplished, which is, hey, I just want to get some money in my bank account, man? Well, ultimately, a business is a problem solving machine. Essentially, your core is to solve the problem of whoever your avatar is. Notice I said whoever your avatar is and not whoever your avatars are. Because typically, to be at this stage, to go from zero to 100,000 South African rands, you don't need more than one avatar. You don't need more than one product, and you don't need more than one channel. Need. Uh, Fortunately or unfortunately for us, we tend to be greedy bastards. So you can go, say, for example, with two, three channels, right? Especially now, this is the digital age. You can figure out ways to be on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Main, Instagram at the same time, and do that successfully. But one thing that you definitely can't do is serve more than one avatar, and one thing you definitely should avoid is trying to feed them more than one thing or more than one type of thing, solve more than one problem. Now, where this shows up and where it becomes an issue is because, like I said, our job is to provide value. Our job is to solve a problem for a particular type of person. And so it's very, very important that you narrow down as much as you can exactly who that person is and exactly what problems they suffer from, because that allows you to, in your marketing, in your content, in however you're planning to reach these people, this is going to allow you to speak to their pain points very specifically, and speak of their solutions very specifically. And so, if you're someone who casts a very wide net, and is finding yourself unable to get customers as a result of that, you're finding yourself not knowing, what a lead is. You're finding yourself not knowing just how to start and where to start. The most perfect place to start is try and figure out who exactly you want to sell to. And I know from experience, I can remember that that part is actually not that easy, because it's mostly anyone with a pulse in the beginning. Anyone with a pulse and a bank card is usually the target market. And that's not a good thing, because, again, you struggle to talk to this person, number one, in your marketing. Number two, the actual offer itself is not that valuable to them. And that's that word, value. So, luckily for us, Alex Hormozi, I don't think he claims to have invented this thing, but he definitely crystallized and probably popularized it in one of his books, which is the value equation. Now, what is the value equation? Well, when you talk about value and what value is, you can talk about the dream outcome for your customer. You can talk about your perceived likelihood of achievement. Those are the two things that you're going to want to increase. The things you're going to want to decrease are the time delay and the effort and sacrifice. By the way, these notes are going to be available for you if you DM Legacy Africa GQ. Put the Instagram down below. Then you're going to be able to get your hands on these notes. So DM us over there, tap in, and DM the word notes, and we're going to send you over the notes. And then you can obviously follow up if you want to be a part of, the Builders Lab and whatever. So the main thing that I'm trying to get to here is, you have your dream outcome, you have perceived likelihood of achievement. Those things are the things that we're going to want to increase. If you increase uh, how much of my ideal outcome I'm going to get through your service or through your product, then I'm more likely to purchase because it provides more value to me. Uh, if my perceived likelihood of achievement goes up, then I'm more likely to purchase. So, number one, what is this thing that I want? I, as your customer, what's the problem that you're solving for me? What am I suffering from that you've identified that you can help me fix? Oh, that actually sounds like a really, really good thing. I think I'd like to have that in my life as a solution. Now, perceived likelihood of achievement. How likely do I think it is that you can actually solve that problem for me? And then I'll consider paying you based off of that. So those are the two things that you're going to want to get as high as possible. You're going to want to eat up as much as possible of the nugget, the big nugget that people are trying to achieve. I'll make an example of Legacy Africa. So the concept behind it is, look, there's this t-shirt. It only comes in three colors. The three colors each stand for a certain value. If you're wearing the t-shirt, you're representing a certain value, which means you're a certain type of individual that focuses on a certain thing in your daily practices as a human being, as an entrepreneur, right? And That's going to allow you to, it's a conversation starter. You get in a room, there's rooted in greatness on your back, you're wearing this thing. What is it? Well, it's this. Why are you wearing it? Because I believe in this. And then you're talking about your beliefs, and you and people who are like-minded are going to get to connect on certain points immediately, just based off of you having this thing. And then the tools that we're working on right now to try and provide are going to make it easier to actually network with people, like outside in the real world. The ultimate for us is to get to the point where we're a wearable business card. So you wear your Legacy Africa tee, and there's maybe a picture somewhere somehow that also doubles as a QR code. Someone scans the code and they can immediately connect to you and all your socials. That's where we're trying to head to this. So it's making it easier to connect in the real world. And then ultimately, and this is the free part. So obviously that would come included in your Legacy Africa tee, but then the free part is you get to be a part of the Legacy Africa network, and you also get um, free admission into the Builders Lab, and everything that comes with that. And then thereafter, if you want to have some continual support, then obviously there's the option to be upsold into that. But ultimately, what I'm trying to get to is there has to be a dream. There has to be something that I'm going to be enticed by making that purchase. All right, cool. And then how likely is it that you are the person who's going to be able to deliver that? On the decrease side, we're going to want to decrease time delay. So whatever it is, if I can get it to you faster. If checklist is 60/60, I'm gonna do 30/30. That's one way that you can completely undercut an entire market, is because people are always going to want things faster. They're always going to want things smoother. They're always going to want things easier. We talk about effort. Effort and sacrifice are the other things on the bottom side of the value equation. And both those things, effort is what am I going to have to start doing that I wasn't doing before as a result of the purchase. Sacrifice is what am I going to have to stop doing that I like doing as a result of the purchase. So you're going to want to keep those things on the low end. The lower the time delay, the lower the effort and sacrifice, the more valuable the product, the higher the dream outcome, the higher the perceived likelihood of achievement, the better the perception of the product is going to be, the better value your customer is going to receive from it. A part of the perceived likelihood of achievement is things like testimonials, things like actually having the thing. So in my mind, there are three things that will absolutely ultimately have a person believe you when you say you can do something for them. And that is, number one, you have done it. That's a very, very good sign. It's a very good indicator that, okay, you can probably do it. Number two, if you've done it for someone else, now I know that, oh, okay, not only is this person competent in actually achieving this thing, but they're also competent in transferring that skill to someone else. And the big number three, quite an important one, they've done it for someone else that looks like me, that is like me, that behaves like me, you know, because it's cool that you can do it. It's cool that you can do it for other people, but it might not work for me because we're so different. Because you and I are so different. But if you've done it for someone that started from where I started from, is going where I want to go, then I'm going to be much more likely to believe that your thing is going to be able to achieve what I want to achieve. So that is the offer itself in a nutshell in terms of value and what it is exactly you want to provide. But ultimately, the first thing that you're going to want to deal with is who you're selling it to. And then when you figure out who you're trying to sell to, I think from there it becomes an easier, logical in terms of, most people are linear thinkers. Most people don't think outside of the box. Most people think, within the lines, within certain parameters. There isn't necessarily always any correct thing, but you are going to have to learn to think linearly. You're going to have to learn to think in new and inventive ways. But for now, if you know who you're going to sell to and you know what you're going to sell them, when you know who you're going to sell to, knowing what you're going to sell them becomes much easier because you know what problems this person deals with. You can start with, listen, here's what I want to do. I want to create this. And then you ask yourself, now that I want to create this as a solution, who is the person that's going to benefit the most from having my thing? And then the rest of the things you build around it can be geared towards that person. That's also very much a possibility. Um, all right, very briefly, and then I'm gonna let you guys get out of here because I don't want to overwhelm you in the first one already. Um, I want to talk about some of the types of offers. So we said you have your core offer, which is going to be the main thing that you're offering, and then you're going to have your upsells, you're going to have your downsells, and you're going to have your main offer, upsell, downsell, or you're going to have your attraction offers as well. So an attraction offer is usually going to be something that's going to get the people in the door. It's going to usually be something that's super low cost to you, but allows you to provide value to whoever your avatar is. So, say for example, for Legacy Africa, we were thinking about doing a legacy tree, which is like a link tree profile thing, that allows you to put all of your socials, because like we said, people tend to have more than one channel. People tend to have more than one way of getting to their customer, right? And that's okay. We predict that most people will do this, and so we provide you this thing completely free. And what it's effectively going to do is, again, allow you to reach whoever you want to reach from multiple vectors, and it also would connect with the eventual system that we're trying to create. Now that's not like a guaranteed path that we're going to take, but it's definitely something that we're thinking about. And that's another part of these Builder Sundays. I'm going to talk about real life things that are going on in my business. Uh, Most of the time, it is going to be the things that I feel comfortable talking about. There are certain things that I'm just not going to feel comfortable talking about because they may be more sensitive. They may be, say, pertaining to a client or pertaining to whatever, a mentor that I'm talking to, or whatever is going on at that time. There's some things that I can't share and that I'm not going to share. But as much as I can share and I feel comfortable sharing, I'm going to. For example, with that, legacy tree really, really realistically might not happen because I'm not sure that the ROI is going to make sense. I'm not sure if it's something that the entrepreneur really wants at this time, and is it the best that I could do for them. I don't mind coughing the money up. See, one thing that's super, super important, and this is aside from obviously the main theme of this, is the offer and value. A side note is reinvestment, just that concept of reinvestment, the concept of investment to begin with in what you do. You have to take pride in what it is that you're creating. I mean, this right here is made from the most high quality available in South Africa. It didn't have to be. There were many points where I could have taken many shortcuts, but I chose not to, because ultimately, at the end of the day, regardless of how good your marketing is, regardless of how good your sales team is, if you have a shit product, you're not going to make it. Because as hard as you're going to be selling, negative word of mouth is going to be working against you. So you have to take pride in what it is you're doing at the end of the day. Just as an aside. Um, but yeah, we talk about the potential link tree. That's an attraction offer. That's a free thing. You can use it. And as you're using that thing, you may find yourself in a position where, uh, because you're now networking, you're doing this, you're doing that, you actually are meeting perhaps the type of person that you're going to want to serve. Or you're connected with someone that is doing something that you want to learn more about, but you also want to come through and provide value. What is value? You see? And you're going to want information, tools. And so you come to Builder Sunday. And through Builder Sunday, you equip yourself, you go out there, you create an impact, and you want more out of it. Or you want to get into more rooms like that. You want to have a conversation starter. You want to have something that's going to say exactly who you are and what you stand for before you even say a word. You get yourself a Legacy Africa tee that also gets you into the Builders Lab. So now you're immediately mobilizing it. So basically, what I'm trying to paint as a picture is, this is the core offer. The core offer is identity. The attraction is, here's a tool. And the retention is, Here's how you can get into those rooms and stay in those rooms. And also, here's a larger room of people just like you in the phase that you are that are also trying to do exceptional things. I've attracted you. There's a core thing that we're trying to keep as a center, which is identity, a core mission that we're all trying to march towards, and that is creating that space where entrepreneurs can work with one another on a grand scale and actually change the state of the continent. Incredible, right? That's the core thing. You want an upsell? Well, we can do one-on-ones for X amount. You don't want to do that? Let me downsell you and turn a no into a yes. All right, you don't want the one-on-ones? Too much for you? Too high commitment? Cool. Let's do group work. And that's not a downgrade. Group work can actually be better than the one-on-one because you get to learn with peers, and they sometimes ask questions you didn't even think to ask. They sometimes ask questions that you were thinking of asking but didn't have the courage to. So there are benefits to each of those systems, and the premium level is obviously going to be capped. So you see how you can begin to think about offers and how they should roll into each other, and one, like, there's a cycle of problems and solutions. Once you solve a problem, right? Once you have a solution, a new problem comes up. And you solve that, then a new problem comes up. And you solve that, and a new problem comes up. And if you're not the one closing that loop, if you're not the one on the other side of that cycle, someone else is. If I invite you into running and I turn you into a runner, and all I sell you is the shoes, well, now you need socks. Now you need the little pouch to put your phone in. Now you need headphones. Now you need drinks and supplements for runners. Now you need the right nutrition plan. Now you need a training plan. Now you need, I could be the one-stop shop for all of those solutions for this one avatar. And that's how you can, with one avatar, one product in the very beginning, and then you build that network of the people that need your thing, and you have more things to give to that person. um, Again, the one product part is for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of expansion. If you can figure out other ways to solve problems that don't necessarily involve adding products, for example, there is one core product, there is one core offer. I'm not talking about a t-shirt and a jacket and the pants and a this and a that. No, it's just this. The rest is very low cost, high leverage things that have scale. And so think about it. We talked about offer, we talked about the value, and then we kind of had a side tangent where we talked about more fun, high level stuff. Not really high level in terms of cognitively, but just things that stay above the shoulder, things that are quite enjoyable to talk about, and you can definitely apply at any stage or start thinking about at any stage for sure. In any case, this has been the first episode. I'm probably going to tighten up the format as we go, but very big on getting things started. That's something I'm a very big proponent of, man. Just start, and you'll figure it out as you go. So thank you for watching. Like I said, Legacy Africa is in the description. If you did in fact enjoy, please subscribe. I've been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.